The Bolshevik Revolution of 1917 marked the overthrow of Russia's old Orthodox Christian and monarchist regime. With Tsar Nicholas II removed from power, Vladimir Lenin's far-left Revolutionary Party took control of the provisional government that had temporarily ruled. Under this new movement, film and the arts shifted towards socially and politically motivated creativity, often used as propaganda. Lenin believed in cinema's power as a tool for education and agitation, especially because much of the population was illiterate. He famously called it the most important of all arts. This led to the period of Russian constructivism, which rejected previous styles of bourgeois art. It instead insisted that art and filmmaking be viewed as a professional labour, tied directly to the industrial world. The resulting aesthetic was defined by humans' relationship with machine, and how this served to display the new socialist way of life under Vladimir Lenin. This video essay argues that the aesthetics developed by the Kino Eye Collective, a group of filmmakers consisting of Dziga Vertov, Mikhail Kaufman, and Elizaveta Slivova, act as the literal materialization of Bolshevik ideology. We will show how this interaction works by examining the two core techniques of montage and reflexivity in their piece Man with a Movie Camera, made in 1929. Before doing close analysis of these technical elements, it is worth providing some background information on the Kino Eye Collective. The goal of the collective was to prove that art could be objective and factual. They based their work on the theory of Kino Pravda, or film truth. This meant recording life caught unawares, to capture the true material reality of the new Soviet citizen. The collective emphatically campaigned against the use of conventional theatrical narratives, which they viewed as bourgeois poison. The core ideological premise was the Kino Eye theory, that the camera, as a perfect technological machine, possessed a superior vision to the fallible human eye. Vertov himself wrote that the Kino Eye was capable of perceiving the world visible for the first time. This notion of mechanized superiority is the ideological justification for all of their aesthetic choices. The montage aesthetic operates as an ideological machine right from the beginning of the film. The sequence begins with images of the city and its inhabitants in a state of rest, people asleep, machinery idle, and the streets empty. But as the day breaks, the aesthetic technique immediately starts constructing the new socialist order. The editing is the key mechanism here. The Soviet goal was to integrate the human body with the industrial machine, proving they were harmonious collaborators and not opponents. Vertov and Svilova achieved this not through narrative, but through rhythmic juxtaposition. Watch this precise parallel. We see a woman blinking, followed immediately by a snap of a window blind opening, followed by the sudden action of the camera aperture opening. This aesthetic choice forces the viewer to connect the organic human action with the mechanical industrial action. The blink of an eye, a simple biological function, is equated with the function of the camera, the Kino Eye, and the opening of the collective's world. The aesthetic technique is thus materializing the ideology. It proves that the Soviet individual is as rhythmic, efficient, and mechanized as the technology and infrastructure that surrounds them. As Seth Feldman puts it, the editing is thus defined as splicing the mechanical to the human, of making peace between man and machine. This equivalence is extended throughout the waking sequence. The momentum of the cutscenes, displaying daily commuters and public transport, machines starting up, and factory workers starting their shift, are all stitched together by montage into a single kinetic pulse. This aesthetic structure compels us to see the city not as a collection of separate individuals, but as one unified, functioning collective organism, the perfect ideological manifestation of the socialist state. The second visual aesthetic technique is reflexivity, which is where the film breaks the fourth wall and reveals the process of its own making. This aesthetic choice directly implements the constructivist principle that art must be transparent and functional. Reflexivity acts as an ideological counterbalance to the secretive, individualistic art of the past. The aesthetic mechanism here is one of demystification. The film insists that artistic creation is a physical craft equivalent to industrial output, therefore highlighting that art is a labour. The most direct evidence of this is the moment where the audience is shown the physical creation of the rhythm that we've just witnessed. The camera focuses on the editor's work, specifically Elizaveta Slivova's hands cutting, splicing and organising the film strip before those subsequent shots are shown on screen. This aesthetic decision to display her labour establishes a visual equivalence between the cinema worker and the industrial worker we saw in the montage sequence. The filmmaking process is thereby integrated into the collective Soviet workforce. This moment is vital because historically, as scholar Lilia Kaganovsky noted, female contributions in the Soviet film industry were often invisible and subsumed by larger historical narratives. By showcasing Slivova's work, the aesthetic forces recognition of this essential organisational labour. The aesthetic decision to display this labour establishes a visual equivalence between the technical editor and the industrial worker. The filmmaking process is thereby integrated into the collective Soviet workforce. The art is not spiritual inspiration, but a transparent production. This is the fundamental commitment of constructivism: art as a professional expertise, a form of labour subject to the same materialist goals as the factory. Reflexivity lays bare the process of art production and makes transparent its function as material labour. The aesthetic relationship between montage and reflexivity reaches its point of convergence in the film's final moments, during the liberated camera sequence. Vertov utilises stop-motion photography to create the illusion of the camera apparatus moving autonomously, without a human operator. It is the montage editing that formally completes the ideological statement. This is achieved through a direct juxtaposition between the autonomous machine and the collective viewer. Reflexivity establishes the camera as an autonomous machine, the Kino eye. This visual detachment from the individual operator is the aesthetic proof of the Kino eye's ideological superiority. The aesthetic choice formalises that the machine's vision is based on materialist fact, rejecting subjective idealism. The intensive montage editing then immediately links this superior machine to the desired outcome. The edit juxtaposes the independent camera with shots of the audience laughing and smiling. This aesthetic convergence successfully delivers the ultimate ideological message. The aesthetic links the cause, the camera's objective technological vision, with the necessary political effect, the joy and acceptance of the Soviet masses. The laughter of the collective acts as the final validation, proving that the machine-based truth has been successfully integrated. The camera, liberated through technical labour and organised by montage, is therefore the superior instrument for constructing the collective communist truth. The relationship between aesthetics and ideology in the Soviet documentary movement was one of absolute function. It demonstrated that the formal techniques of the Kino Eye Collective were necessary aesthetic mechanisms for constructing the Bolshevik message. Montage provided the aesthetic proof of the unison of man and machine, organising disparate fragments into a single, efficient collective organism. Reflexivity established machine superiority, formally presenting filmmaking as scientific labour and creating a political call to arms. The aesthetic tools, the scissors of Svilova, the rhythmic edit, the autonomous camera were therefore not artistic choices, but necessary political technologies. As we saw in the aesthetic convergence of the final scene, Svilova, Vertov and Kaufman successfully used form to materialise ideological truth. The ultimate significance of the Soviet avant-garde documentary is that it proved cinema's formal properties could be entirely subordinate to the political purpose, creating a powerful and enduring blueprint of belief.